What's going on, everybody? Bobby O'Brien here. Today got an amazing video for you talking about the truth, the real raw truth about most fitness influencers and why they really don't care about you or your weight loss goals. Now, I'll pre-frame this and say that some of them do. Some of them just don't know what they're doing and just get the information that they get from the National Academy of Sports Medicine, ACE, or any other 8-month course they get to get credentialed, which is really how long it takes, and just regurgitate that same information and handing it down to their clients. Just spoon feed them that same information. And I'm going to talk about that today as well, why, even if a personal trainer is credentialed, why it really isn't that big of a deal and it's not going to solidify the fact that they can get you results. So if you like videos like this, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Message me over on Instagram if you got any questions at It's Bobby O'Brien. And of course, we're going to have a link to booking that call if you ever want to actually talk with me one-on-one on how I can help you lose weight one-on-one by customizing a full-on program for you. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So with fitness influencers and coaches today, most of them are going to advocate a caloric deficit. They're going to tell you that you just need to move more and eat less when really they don't understand, or maybe they do understand but don't care, that a caloric deficit is going to slow down your metabolic rate in the long term. You'll always see some short-term results with a caloric deficit. You will lose weight if you just restrict yourself of calories and move more, but you're going to suffer from chronic brain fog. You're going to increase the hormone ghrelin, you're going to suppress the hormone leptin, and you're also going to increase sympathetic nervous system activity, which is your fight or flight nervous system, which then in turn is also going to elevate the hormone cortisol. That's 5 horrible things that happen whenever you do a caloric deficit. Is it really worth it? All 5 of those horrible symptoms for some weight loss? That's not even going to be sustained anyway? I don't think so. Now, a real sustainable approach, of course, includes my approach, a hormonal-based approach that actually focuses on optimizing the function of insulin, the ultimate predictor of how much body fat you're going to lose or gain. That's what you need to focus on, not the BS that they regurgitate from the National Academy of Sports Medicine or ACE. And I'm sure some of you are thinking right now, Bobby, you're credentialed. You're a National Academy of Sports Medicine personal trainer and nutrition coach. But I don't care. My journey with this started 5 years ago. I started studying anatomy and physiology 5 years ago, back in 2019, and got obsessed with it the moment I was introduced to it, or introduced to the concepts of nutrition, the physiological processes of the body that actually allow us to lose weight, put on muscle, and maybe even become more intelligent and boost our mental and cognitive health. Those things fascinated me. So that's the route that I started with, and the route that my father, medical doctor with 30 years of clinical experience, put me on. So luckily, I did not just go straight into the National Academy of Sports Medicine or ACE like many of these other fitness influencers and coaches did. They just hand me down that information. And what's the biggest thing that they teach? A caloric deficit. What else do they teach? They also teach the fact that red meat should be universally avoided. Saturated fat mainly is the main reason why they want you to avoid that. And we're going to discuss, of course, in this video and many others, why that just isn't, very viable, right? Like, that's not very valid. You see the same thing over and over again, just nothing but universal one-size-fits-all approaches. And there's literally no randomized controlled research to actually show that saturated fat can put you in a state of a higher risk of mortality, maybe for certain specific people, for 1 to 2%, but even then there's no randomized controlled trial to actually show that. So it's the same theme here with most of these institutions that credential personal trainers. It's universal one-size-fits-all approaches, and it's extremely hypocritical because most fitness coaches, most fitness influencers will go on the internet, any sort of social media platform, and instantly just start saying that, a one-size-fits-all approach does not work. That's a very popular video topic, a very generalized popular video topic. Yet, if you were to get on the phone with them and book a call with them, they're going to tell you to do a one-size-fits-all approach, which is exactly what a caloric deficit is. No matter who it is, you're going to just prescribe a caloric deficit. That doesn't make any sense. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of time to do it for a year and see some results and then just gain all the way back on and suffer those 5 symptoms: increase in cortisol, sympathetic nervous system dysregulation, hormonal dysregulation with ghrelin and leptin, and all the other symptoms and negative side effects that come with doing a caloric deficit. A metabolic slowdown too. The last thing you want when you're doing a caloric deficit. All those things are going to happen. And that sucks. It sucks to be in that position where you lose all the weight you lose all this weight and then you just gain all of it back on. You completely waste your time. And if you're watching this, you probably want to prioritize your time. You're a really busy person, probably like me, who's working a lot, working 60 to 80 hours a week, maybe some of you. You have time to do a caloric deficit and then just completely, blow everything that you just did. I mean, what's the point? What's the point of doing this if we're just going to completely gain back all this weight that we just worked so hard to lose? It's ridiculous. So you need to find a sustainable solution, and the solution is to really optimize the function of these three hormones: ghrelin, leptin, and insulin. All three of them are going to be out of whack if you do a caloric deficit, but if you focus on optimizing them, not focusing on just the calories alone, but the hormonal implications of the calories that you're eating, focusing on those three hormones, ghrelin being a hunger hormone, leptin being a satiety hormone, and insulin being the ultimate predictor of how much body fat you're going to lose or gain, an anabolic hormone that is responsible for fat storage depending on how high this hormone is elevated and how long it stays elevated for. Optimizing those responses is really going to help you. And how do you do that? You eat high quality foods that are going to give you good responses, right? Higher fat, higher protein foods are going to give you a good insulin response. Simple and complex carbohydrates, avoiding carbohydrates that stimulate insulin and keep it elevated for a long period of time, such as processed garbage. I mean, do you really ever hear fitness influencers or fitness coaches talking about your insulin response? Probably not. And many of their clients, unfortunately, follow that approach or follow the approach of a caloric deficit and don't follow the approach of doing an insulin optimized approach that focuses on the optimization of their hormones. And they then in turn waste their time, which is the last thing you want to do. That's why fitness coaches and influencers, many of them have a very bad reputation. They're going to go in one of these two categories. One, they either don't care about your ability to lose weight, as messed up as it sounds. A lot of them do not. They don't care. They're just going to throw a caloric deficit at you anyway, and they just want to get a quick testimonial and put it on their highlight page on Instagram so they can scale their business. And they don't tell the rest of the story whenever one of their clients gains back all the weight that they just lost in their caloric deficit oriented program. Now you also get some fitness coaches that may care. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been in the industry for 5 years now. A lot of them don't, but some do. And if they still tell you to do a caloric deficit, they still most likely don't know what they're talking about. So that's why I'm very thankful to actually be in the position that I'm in, to actually know this stuff, to be exposed to research, look at randomized controlled data and be able to provide that same data to my clients if they need some validation. And a lot of trainers, a lot of influencers cannot say the same thing. If you're going to ask them for some randomized controlled research as to why you should do a caloric deficit, they're going to have a very hard time finding one that shows that you can sustain it the rest of your life. Do you really want to do a caloric deficit for the rest of your life? I mean, I wouldn't. And most fitness coaches aren't even doing that. Most fitness coaches don't even do a caloric deficit. Your jacked, everyday fitness influencer who has a chiseled jawline, a six-pack, and biceps is not doing a caloric deficit to see those results. And if they are, they feel terrible, and it sucks. It sucks to do a caloric deficit. It's not fun. It is really, a huge waste of your time. It's going to be mentally exhausting, and you're just not going to see results, so why do it? A lot of people may bash on this video or may disagree with me, but when the time comes and it's actually time to have a debate or discuss this, it's going to be really difficult for any of those fitness influencers or coaches that disagree with me to actually pull up some research and show that a caloric deficit is sustainable and is the only weight loss solution. There's a lot more to this story than just calories and the restriction of them. So just keep those things in mind whenever you listen to most fitness coaches and fitness influencers. That really is the truth about them. Just because they're credentialed doesn't really mean that much. It takes 8 months to get a credential as a personal trainer. It's really not that hard. I did it, about year 3 or 4 into studying these topics daily. And I got to be completely honest with you. I disagreed with about 90% of what they taught me, and I really just did it from a credibility standpoint, because a lot of people want to work with a personal trainer that is credentialed. So I was like, okay, I'll get credentialed, even though I feel like I don't really need it. I disagree with about 90% of the things that they put in their course. And about 90% of it is, well, I don't even use with my clients, yet my clients see amazing results. 36 pounds in 3 months, 7 pounds in the first week, 40 pounds of weight loss inside 4 or 5 months for Joel. I can go on and on and on. My own body fat percentage, 5%. I do the same thing that all my clients do to see the same results. And I'll tell you, it's not a caloric deficit. That's not the solution. That's not the decision to make. It sucks. It's a huge grind. It's terrible. It's a total waste of your time, and you should not do it. Now, what you should do, though, is you should message me on Instagram, the word optimize, if you actually want me to give you a fully personalized approach and give you an idea of what that looks like. And then we can get started right away. If you click the link in the description to book a one-on-one call with me, then I can, basically start mapping out exactly how we can get you results and see exactly, if you're a good fit, of course, and then basically get the information I need to fully customize that program for you. So if that sounds like what you're looking for, feel free to click that link or feel free to message me on Instagram at @itsBobbyO'Brien. And that is it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.